When I was a young church planter and finally able to hire an executive assistant, back in those days we called them secretaries, but now it'll be executive assistant. I remember when she would come with me at the end of the day and she'd have questions. And she said, well, this came in, what do we do about it? And I would say, well, what do you think the real issue is here? And she says, I don't know. And I said, well, let's talk about it. And so we began to talk about it. After a while, she would come in and say, this happened, and here's what I think the real issue is. So then I would ask her, well, what are the biblical principles that need to be applied or considered in this situation? And she said, I don't know. And I said, well, let's talk about it. Then after a little while, she'd start coming to me and say, this happened, here's what the real issue is, and here's what I think the biblical principles are. And so I said, well, what are the options? She said, I don't know. And so we would talk about it, and after a while, she would come to me and say, here's what happened, here's the issue, here are the principles, and here are the options. So then I'd say, well, what are your evaluation of those options? And so we talk about that further. Then after a while, she started coming to me and saying, well, here's what happened, here's the issue, here's the principles, here's the options, here's my assessment. And then I would say, well, which one do you think we should do? What do you recommend? And so after a while, then she came to me and said, here's what happened, here's the issue, here's the principles, here's the option, here's my assessment, here's my recommendation. And so I said, so why do you need me? I just want to make sure my thinking was clear. Over time, I developed this person who had no experience in this area whatsoever to such a point that she understood my philosophy of ministry and how we operated in a way that she became our financial administrator and actually oversaw the construction of a 10,000 square foot building and brought it in on time, under budget. And that was very important because we didn't even have all the money to be able to pull it off. So it's amazing what you can do if you'll just ask questions and help to develop people. If you just give people the answers, you then truncate their growth. But if you'll take the time to coach them and dialogue with them, you can really help them to develop their full potential. And it's a very, very powerful process.